So this is the truck that I showed a model of, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So I made it name easy, a Canadian WWII Welding truck, but the actual technical name is on this cover. This is actually the assembly manual for the truck back in the old days. So, so it's a long name, right? So 1.25 inch, 50 proper load. So instead of saying that, I just say, okay, Canadian WWII welding truck. So the other thing that I want to show here from the cover of this manual is the picture of the truck at the time. So this this manual was printed in 1944. So this is what it looks like. Although I like the other side better, they chose you. So how it happened is that back in 2022, before Christmas, I went to Oshawa, a tanning museum, to see something else, and then I stumbled onto this truck. So I was curious, and I asked somebody. There was somebody was storing something on the side. I was asking them, "What is that?" And then the guy quickly replied to me, "What do you mean? What is this? This is Lincoln Electric." See, what is Lincoln Electric? And I gave him a puzzle look. He sounded like that I'm supposed to know, but I gave him a puzzle look and said, "Okay, it's a welding truck." And then I realized that, oh, that's interesting. I never heard about this welding truck before. And I walked around that day, and the museum was closing, so I walked around that day. And I took some pictures, and I decided to go back there past the New Year and go back there and take some more pictures. And actually, I was so intrigued by it because I never knew that this existed. And it's actually completely Canadian made, so it has a lot of Canadian history. So I went back there with my camera and with my measuring tape. So I go back there, so let me see. So what it does, I'm missing one point in here, so this is how I saw it, but basically what it does is that during the war, they use this, is run by engineer, and they will use that to repair battle damages, to build temporary structures, like that, and also repair broken trucks, broken axles and things like that. So any field welding job, they use this. So this truck actually at the back is a welder. So let me show you. So this is the use of it. It's part of the engineering corps that will go with the troops to the front line, and they will be staying in the back fixing stuff for them, including adding additional armor. So if the tank needs another plate of armor on top, they will weld it in and things like that. So the reason why I say that, right, I found out where this truck was made, this specific example in the museum. So the truck itself, the truck and the frame and all that, it was made in Windsor, Ontario, back in 1942. So the reason why I know that is that there is actually a serial number on the dashboard and saying the manufacture date and where it was manufactured. And the welder is by Lincoln Electric, and that's the name for those who have done welding. You know Lincoln Electric well. It's actually a manufacturer for welding machines, and it's been around for a long time. Obviously, it was around in 1942, and it's actually in Toronto. So they are actually still in business. Ford is still in business, but Lincoln Electric is still a very good ongoing business in Toronto. It is in East York, so Laird and Eglinton around that area. So, and like that, the supporting structure for the at the back of the truck, it was built by Brentford Coach and Body, but I don't think that company still exists anymore. So there is a lot of Canadian history and specifically Ontario history and even Toronto history in this. Embodied in this truck. So they are really interested. So as Mauricio was saying, after 20 months, this is what I got. So
So maybe it's finished, right?
It's finished, it's right here. Except the base, I have to figure out what's the base, and Roy and Mauricio will talk about how to, huh?
Except for what?
The base.
Oh, the base.
I need to make the base, yeah.
Just take Sandy.
Oh, Sandy's one. Yeah, that's right. I know that it's not true. It's not true to the model, so I can borrow.
Yeah. Just take it off and just use it.
So,
Hey, Ming, did you put those data plates in there? I bet you put those little data plates in there.
oh, you mean the serial number? Oh my God.
Did you?
No, I
You must take him away from the real thing.
didn't. Yeah, so the judges will be done on
So
2%.
disappointed.
It's not finished yet.
Yeah, that's right. It's not finished yet. So this is the most complicated project I've ever done, basically. Involves a lot of scratch building. It's basically building from the very, very beginning, taking measurements from the real truck and all that. So I'll show you the process that I went through. And it's actually only the 6th model that I've done after my retirement. So before retirement, I kind of left the hobby for almost 25 years or something. So I come back to it, and this is the 6th model I made. So I'm no expert. I can see a lot of experts in this room, so I'm no expert. So I'm trying to, hopefully I'll say something, I'll give you something new. So maybe most of the things you guys already know. So I'll see. So what I did is that I did a lot of research, and I also received a lot of comments and suggestions from different folks. So I actually need to experiment it. So I did a lot of experimentation and then try different things, and that's where the time went. Is that for every step, I did experiment on some old models, or even some scrap models that I don't think I'm going to build. So I'm going to test on it, with a painting or something like that, right? So, and even the metal primer that Mauricio was telling me. So I tried on some old model first and see how it works. So there was a lot of experimentation. So as I said, I hope that this presentation will help somebody, save some time, because it took me a lot of time to experiment every single step of the way to get to this point. So hopefully you see the end result, and then you can adopt some of the methods. So just give you some comparison picture of the real truck and the model. And I'm not going to say too much about it, except just to show it. So the other side of the welding machine. Okay. And I don't have a picture of the real truck on this side, because in the museum they park another truck next to it, and I can't take a picture. So here's the meeting video there. So the process, whatever you call it, the way I did it. Basically, I went through these kind of steps: research, design, create parts, assemble, paint, which is kind of logical. It makes sense, right? So the one thing to remind you though is not a sequential process. Right? So it's not one step and then the next step and research. Of course, research needs to come first, but some information will come afterwards and things like that. So it's iterative, and it's kind of as needed. So research means find out the history, get a lot of pictures, and also get the measurement, right? So talking about taking pictures and get the measurement, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. I'm going to go into each of these categories a little bit more detail. So design is a big word. So a lot of people say, "Oh, like why do you need design?" Like, it sounds like a huge thing. So perhaps I can say that except for artistic design, drawing and all that, any other design that you do is actually to solve some problems, right? So whenever you have a design, a technical design, you go there and solve some problems. So to me, there are two, so let me go to the next slide. So I'm going into some of the details of the big stuff. Yeah, the other step is very evidence. So let me go to the next slide. So I think I've gone through. Okay, I think I almost said it. Anyhow, so that's one step that I'll go through in more detail, design. And then create parts, obviously, after you design it and you make the parts and make the subcomponents and then you put the whole thing together and assemble. And I did a lot of dry fitting because this is the first time I built so many things from scratch. So I did a lot of dry fitting. And then eventually, so let's go into one of these categories, one of these steps. So research. So I take a measurement tape and go to the museum and measure it. So the good thing is that the museum staff was so helpful. So I went there with the measurement tape and taking a lot of pictures. And one of the staff approached me and started talking to me about this truck, the history, where they got it, and all that. And we talked for 2 hours. So, and he also opened up the truck, opened the door, opened the panels, and let me go inside and take pictures of inside and underneath and all that. So I got hundreds and hundreds of pictures of the truck and learned a lot about the truck itself. So that was helpful. Not only that, so later on, when I went on to during the progress, I posted something on the Facebook and one of the guys from the Facebook responded to me. So they noticed that the pictures that I took of the real truck is missing all the accessories. There are toolboxes, there are the welding tools, and there's actually a work table that is supposed to be mounted and carry around by the truck. And you'll notice that, oh, by the way, like the truck that you saw in the museum is missing all these things. Do you want pictures of all these things? Of course I do. So he says that he told me that the table is so heavy that he cannot move it himself. He has to wait for somebody to carry it with him to help him with taking it out. So he said that it may take some time for 2 people to be able to go back to the museum when they happen to go back to the museum and take the picture for me. So this guy, like a month or 2 later, came back with a ton of pictures. So including a picture showing him and the other guy pulling out the table. And obviously there was a third guy because the third guy was taking the picture. So this is fantastic. Like just how he spotted this and then he volunteered that kind of information for me. So I got another set of pictures from him. And I also noticed that there was one of this truck in Camp Borden Museum. So I drive over to Camp Borden and take another round of pictures. So the other one is that over in the Facebook group, especially the Canadian military modeling group. So I posted some questions and I got a lot of feedback, including what's the difference between a Ford CMP truck and then a Chevy CMP truck. And I'll go into that a little bit later on. So now that draw my attention of the differences and what it should be. And by the way, this one, the truck that in the museum is a Ford one. So I need to create the model that looks like a Ford one, not the Chevy one. And also, I got pointers into what are the markings, what are the logical markings, not specifically a regiment or group or in the army, in the military, but what is logical on the truck, on this kind of truck. So I got a lot of information, and as I said before, it's not a step-by-step process, so it's iterative. So I find this information along the way. So that's what we should about. So design. So I was saying, whenever you have a design, you're trying to solve the problem, or solve some problem. So in my mind, one of the biggest problems I had was that how do you paint this thing? So once I finished making it, there was a lot of interior parts. There's tiny little parts that are sitting in the box, especially the welder part. It's all enclosed into the welder enclosure, the roof cover and everything. So but then you have to paint it in such a way that people can see through. By the way, I purposely didn't put on leave out all the panels so that you can see through. And you need to paint it in, you need to paint it so they can see through the insides of the thing. So how do you approach it? So I pretty well have to think about how I'm going to make the design the components and subcomponents so that I can paint those things individually, separately, and in the order that I want it, so that at the end, after all the painted parts, I put it all together and assemble the whole thing. So one of the challenges is to figure out the organization of the parts so that I can paint it, especially the interior, without too much of a hassle. So that's one thing. The other thing is that I know that this is my first try on this, with that amount of a sketch building. I said before that I need to do a lot of dry fitting. So my concept is that, okay, so when I have to try this, to put it on and see whether it looks well. So I finished some part, and I was foreseeing that I need to put the newly created part in the already existing or already done part of the truck and be able to see whether it makes sense or whether it looks good or not. So there was a lot of dry fitting involved. So that triggers the concept of I need to make the parts removable and reassemble, to be able to reassemble it many times, like any time that I want it. And when you reassemble it, you put it back to precisely the same location that the last time that you found it. So that's one of the criteria, is that to actually make the parts removable and reassemble, be able to reassemble them. So at a high level, it looks logical, right? So there are three components. So the underneath of the truck, so the axles, the wheels, and all that. And then there was a cap, and there was also the welding, right, which is this one. So that's all nice and handy. So one thing that I did special was that the cap is removable. So I created those grooves and location pins and all that so that I can put it back to precisely the same location every time. So I add those extra on. And it's still removable today. I can still take it apart today, the cap. And so is the platform itself. So I actually inserted 3 metal pins and a location hole there on the chassis, so that again I can put it in and take it out. So the more complicated part is the welder. So the welder has a lot of interiors. So there is the number one is the platform itself, and the middle dividing wall for the welder. And then number 2 is what I call the enclosure of the welder. So those basically the 4 walls of the welder, and then the roof. So and then the reason why I put the base, the number 1 like this, is that the dividing wall, which is right there, and then the support for the engine is going to be my alignment for the enclosure. And it holds the enclosure in place. So I created a couple of grooves in here that I can insert the enclosure from the top and slide it in. And the 4 inside corner of the enclosure fits directly into these corners, right here. So I'm pretty sure the real truck is not like that, but after you close it, you don't know, right? So, but this is my guide, as to I can take out the enclosure, do some work inside, and put it back in.
Is that roof made out of like grass?
That's right, and I'll cover that soon. Yeah, I'll cover that soon. So let me see. I think that's it. And also I made the decision to have a second floor on the second half of the enclosure. This is to allow me to put in components on top while I'm still allowing me to slide the enclosure up and down. Like I slide the enclosure from top to down, so that allows me to put the control box and the gas tank on top of that shelf. So you see what happens later. So this is another view. So this is the gas tank, and for this engine, and then this is the control box, and the generator is in the box. So I think that's basically the layout. There are many different ways of doing it, and that's the way that I chose to do it because it allows me to take away the enclosure from the top and anytime any roof. So I take parts from these three kits. So I didn't scratch build everything. So interesting, the most part I take is from the mirror model truck. So just forewarn you, the mirror model kit, it's very bad. You see that I circle around those parts. The cab itself, there's 4 walls, the floor, and then some other parts. There's no location pins. So you have to juggle all these pieces while they're moving. So it's like building a resin kit when they give you the resin part, and there is no location indicator where you put them. So it took me quite a while just to put the cap together. But I needed that kit because I need 4 wheels. Like I cannot scratch through the wheels, and those are the closest wheels that I can get. And those are the other two are not the right wheels because they are the gun tractors, they're bigger wheels. So I need the smaller one. They have the smaller wheels.
So Ming,
Yes.
how did you know that those were the right wheels?
Facebook. I talk to people and say, no, yeah, well, you know that. Like, at first I was trying to use the Chevy gun tractor from Terraria as my base. And then the guy corrected me, so you know that this is not right.
So related to Ritz's question, that outside of the manual that you showed earlier, there's no references on this vehicle at all in current publication.
And in fact, the manual, I got it afterwards. I wish that I got the manual, the assembly manual before.
This just suggests you might want to put your notes together, and then you can have references separately. Because there's nothing on this truck.
There's nothing on this truck, nothing. So even the manual shows the mechanic how to which components is wired with which components, but it doesn't have dimensions. So yes, please.
So of these 3 donor kits,
Right.
what did each kit donate, I guess?
Okay, so I was going to go through that. That's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah. So I said that I took the wheels on this truck, took the cap. But with a lot of modification. By the way, this kit is a Chevy truck, so it's different from a Ford truck. So even though I take the cap from it, I cannot use it as is. So I took only one piece from the Terraria kit at the end because I trashed it. I say, no, I cannot use it. One of the big turn-off was that, the cap's floor has anti-skid little dots. And they have 2 big sinkholes right in the middle. So I said, how am I going to repair that? And plus that it's not really, it's a Chevy again, it's not a Ford. So the only thing I take from there is the roof of the cab. Because it already have a hatch opening that will save me some time. But I also need to add some more details on that. So that's for that. For the Tamiya kit, I took the V8 flat head engine from that. That was my biggest thing. Like I built it when I was a teenager, and I was fascinated by the interior and the engine. So long behold, like 15 years later, I'm still using this kit. So I picked the engine from there. 2 other things I picked from there are the axles, and I'll go through that later on, the differences. Why do I need to take the axles from here? So I took the chassis, modified it. I took the cap and modified it from the mirror kit, and of course the wheels. So part of the design is to lay out all the parts. So like basically for me, I'm still a low-tech guy. So I use pencil and paper and draw out the parts. This is the platform at the end, the welder's platform. I translate that into 1/35 scale and then draw it in scale on paper, and then put my Terraria kit was my reference kit at that time, so I took the chassis from the Terraria kit, put it in just to make sure that it fits, so that when I build the part, it needs to fit on the chassis. So that's the process I go through. And the other part I need to go through is that I think I mentioned it before, was that when you make a box, 4 side, and there are 2 sides that will be tucked in, so you have to subtract the thickness of the 2 other adjacent sides in the length of in the width of the inside one, right? So you have 2 parts like this. So either you can tap on like this, or you can tap on like this, right? So if you tap on like this, then you have to subtract the thickness of your plastic times 2, because there are 2 sides. So you need to worry about that. So here's the one then, thanks to Mauricio, he recommended me to use Cricut. So I take my hand drawing, translate it into the Cricut Studio, so into very generic parts with the dimension that I measured. So, and I print it out, cut it out on the sheet styrene.
How thick is it?
How thick is your styrene?
0.5 millimeter, something like that. So
Was it that thing? So when you cut it, did you score it and then you have to break it?
yeah, that's right. So it doesn't cut through. It doesn't cut through. You have to exhaust the line.
Score it.
Yeah.
How thick was your plastic?
I think it's 0.5
Yeah,
millimeters.
it's usually
0.5. Yeah.
That's the maximum.
That's the maximum. So I think it's 0.4 is the maximum, but I'm stretching it a little bit.
0.38 is the
0.3.
one before, and that can cut through.
Right.
Anything above it, you can only score and you
Right. So I have to.
on this machine.
Yeah.
If you get the big guys, they'll cut leather.
Right.
So
Sorry,
depending
question.
on, if you've got like a Cricut maker for
Yeah.
the latest silhouette, whatever that is, you've got significantly more downforce.
Right.
So
Right.
2, and this is where you get repeatability issues, is you could potentially run once, again,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually cut through.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem there, of course, is
Yes.
you
Exactly.
get like V.
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you're going to get a smaller V if you scribe and vent.
That's
but
right.
it's gonna
That's
be
right.
more
I
ragged.
find it more useful to actually break
Right.
the part. Yeah.
It's
Scott
just
let us
very
call you
easy.
break.
Yeah,
The
'cause
latest
you-
version of the Cameo 4, the
Yes.
Silhouette, has a deep cutting blade.
Mhm.
Apparently, it's the deepest cutting now.
Yeah, I've tried that and
It doesn't quite, but it's the deepest cut.
You know what I would like to see, quite honestly?
Right.
Is if these I did call Cricut once, I said, have you thought about putting a small milling cutter? So, have you seen those display, you've seen those little display motor tools? They're like basically a thick pencil.
A pencil, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if they made that with a small milling cutter, turn it on, it's spinning, and it basically
Just runs
runs
through
like
it.
a CNC mill.
Yeah.
And that'll get you a
Yeah.
nice cut, no
Yeah,
nothing.
So even with that, with the storage, you still get a little bit of repeats, right? So you need to sand it. You still get a little bit of repeat, you need to sand it, right? So, but that's a very good help, right? The last little conversion I did, I didn't use it, and I spent a lot of time cutting things. So this helps. One of the advantages is that you make something wrong, measure something wrong, or think about the parts wrong, you just do it again. Or modify it and do it again.
Wait,
Yeah.
which Cricut is that one? I can't see it.
Joy.
Joy.
It's $150.
Smallest you can get.
Yeah, the smallest I can get, yeah. So I thought that I started with the small one, so it works well for me so far. So I haven't done anything big, like a Vulcan or something.
Yeah, it needs a bigger one.
So here's the cut parts, and then I assemble it, and it becomes the platform.
You have to clean up the edges. You snap it off, but you clean up the edges.
Yeah, I snap it, and then I still need to sand it because there's still a V, right? So they cut like this, and there was a little bit of plastic sticking out. So obviously there are limitations with Cricut is that all 2-dimensional. So with the flat bed, I have a beam that go across. So the only way I can do a beam is in multiple parts. I make flat parts and then screw them together.
Or you could 3D print.
Oh, I can totally do that. I haven't ventured into that yet. So I think this is already a lot of learning for me. So that's this part. Now, come to the brass part, the brass sheet. So, but not everything I make with Cricut. There are things that I need to do by hand. So, for example, let's do the roof first. Before I use the brass part, I try to use the sheet styrene, and it's not holding in place, and I use supporting beams inside so that nobody can see it, but it never worked. So it's always crooked, it's always not in the right shape, and it's always angle is not smoothly round. So eventually I say, like, forget it. I'm going to use a brass sheet and cut it very carefully into shape. I know the dimension, cut it carefully and bend it. So now I also have the challenge of drilling those holes into it with the right size. But yes.
Did you anneal the brass?
Huh?
Did you anneal the brass?
Heat it over the plate?
No.
Oh, and it didn't even spray that?
No. So what I did was very, very low tech. I take a brass rod, put the sheet there, and roll it.
Okay,
It is an English wheel.
The English wheel? That's what it's called, English wheel. Okay, so I learned something new. Yes?
Ming, what thickness is the brass?
Huh? The thickness of the brass, I forgot what it was.
15 cal?
It's very thin.
Yeah, it must be thin, right?
Yeah, it's very thin. It's very thin, right? So I wouldn't use the thick one. So I forgot what is the thickness of that. It's very thin.
How did you cut the holes?
Drill a hole first,
Yes.
and then twist it, like turn it, and make it bigger, 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 and then cut down at the bottom, like at the flip side, cut out all the excess. And it's a laborious
Right,
task.
otherwise, I mean, you can use a drill press, but
But I have to,
gotta get it.
yeah, I gotta get one. I mean, the whole drill press just for, drill press just for that.
Call me next time.
Ah, okay, all right. So that's the reason why I use the brass for that. So the other one is that the hatch door is brass. So the thing is that it's so thin. Like if you want to make it a scale, that will be, if I use plastic, it will be those sheets that are almost like paper. And the minute you dip some glue into it, it will melt it. The minute that you touch it, it's going to bend it. So it's not going to hold well. So I decided to use brass again. I cut the dimension, cut the corners so that I can fold it very carefully. Luckily, I just did it in one try. I did not fail and tried again. So I did it in one try. I get that, and I got the scale thickness, and I got the strength. Like I can touch it during the process without hurting it. Yes.
How do you cut the brass?
Okay, so that's another thing. I have another low-tech approach. You know the dollar shop cutters that has a blade that you can break off sections?
Yeah.
So typically I run from 2 cuts to 4 cuts, I have to break one section. So I need the blade to be very, very sharp. I use a metal ruler and cut it. And then once I feel that it's blunt, I cut off the tip. And then I keep on using it. But hey, it's only $1.75.
How many passes do you have to do?
Actually, 2. I think
That's
2.
it?
Yeah. 2 passes. But you have to carefully, the second pass, it has to be right. Yeah. Not that much, if I remember, not that much. So that's why I need the blade to be very sharp. So the first time that you use it, you break off that section, you have the sharp pointy end, and use that pointy end and go through it, right? So that will work. And then the other brass part are the anti-skid plates. So which I cannot make by hand, like those little dots sticking out. So I buy a generic plate, anti-skid plate, and then again use the dollar shop cutter, very carefully cut it in shape, and put it onto the platform. And then the other thing is also the strength of the durability problem is the handle for the hatch. So there is a brass handle right in front of the hatch. And you also see a little bit of white plastic over there surrounding the hatch. Those are plastic. So I didn't intend it to be a supporting or weight supporting, pressure supporting point. So I use plastic to make it, because the original kit is just a hole where it looks pretty thick. So I make the edge for it so that it matches with the door. The door comes in and close that part. please. So, and then also number 4. Number 4 is the edge. Number to the edge control. So these are all handmade. Like measure well and cut. Hold your breath and cut it. So the next part is wiring. So I actually researched a little bit the components of a welder. What does it take and what it means and what wire goes to what. And I got hundreds of pictures from the truck. So I try to connect the dots from the pictures and from research of what the welder is supposed to be, what an engine, a fat Ford V8 engine was supposed to be, and get all the wires drawn up and with the labeling so that I know that which wire goes to what part. So this is the drawing that I got. And
the V8 engine, is that the one you took from the Tamiya?
That's right. It's called the flat head. Yeah. And it's quite accurate, given that like the technology at the time, 70s, right? Early 70s. So here's the wiring that I got. So I used steel metal wire, the one that I told you about from Omomo. It's a Japanese dollar shop. It's $3 for like many meters, go up into a ring. It's what was it? 0.25 millimeter, something like that.
So you get it? Omomo?
Omomo.
Okay.
Yeah, Omomo. And you choose the different thickness. You choose the right thickness. So I use that exclusively for wires, and then I can wiring it up, and I use the middle dividing wall. Not only it holds up the enclosure, it also holds up my wires. So I can pre-wire it before putting the engine in. The generator on the right-hand side, I already glued it in, because the reason why I want to glue it in is that because it's the same color of the car body, of the truck body. So I don't have to paint it separately. So I glue it in for convenience. So I use those parts, like the middle divider and the generator, as an anchor for all my wires. Okay, and then the other thing is that the wires go up, and I'll cut it short when it goes up. And that's the part where my sliding top comes in with the second shelf. I put the second shelf, and the shelf has the control box. And these wires in here, these wires sticking out will go underneath the control box. And when I close it up, you won't see the hole at the bottom of the control box. So it looks like a wire going into the control box. So I don't have to individually wire the thing into the control box. So it's convenient. So basically, just slide it in, and the wires are already in place. And here are also customization I need to do with the cap. Some of the handmade parts. So the hood has those 2 clips on the side, according to the real truck. So I have to make that visible. And the convoy lights. During the war, they didn't use the headlight to cover the headlights, and they just used 2 tiny little convoy lights. So I made that. And then the horn, the wonderful horn. This is one of the distinctive features of Ford CMP trucks. So if I don't make that, people will laugh. So this is funny. This is so obvious. The Chevy one has a horn inside the engine compartment.
But how does the guy reach down and squeeze the thing?
So it looks like a horn. The towing hook, I need some customization on that. The towing hook with the 2 wires sticking out like this. And then the crash bar, I completely stretch build the crash bar, because it's a Ford crash bar. It's not a Chevy one. So I cannot use the one from the kit. And then the engine grill, the front grill, I have to scratch it again, because it's a Ford grill, not a Chevy grill. And I'll show you the differences in one. So which is right here. So the Ford grill, the Ford grill is a rectangular grill, whereas the Chevy is a diamond-shaped grill. So if somebody who knows the truck immediately look at the grill, and they can tell that you're wrong. Right? You did it wrong. And then the crash bar, the Ford is on the right-hand side, the Chevy is on the left-hand side. So again, the crash bar for Chevy, the crash bar is wider than the grill. Whereas for Ford, the crash bar is about the width of the grill. So again, it's very obvious. When somebody knows the thing and look at it and say, oh, you're wrong. Right? So this is, and then the composition of the Ford crash bar is made up of 3 pieces of metal bundled together. Right? And that's what it is. Here we go. 3 pieces of metal, the 2 of them, I have to make 2 of them and have to bundle it, like tie it all up and wrap it around a brass rod and make it the width of the front grill. And then find some way to attach it to the kit version of the bumper, which is pretty plastic. And here's the horn. So the horn is a little bit creative. So I went to one of my Ferrari M109 howitzer kit. It was not buildable. I think I bought it in the show somewhere as loose components, right? $5 or something because the whole underside is wall, so you cannot build a kit. So what I did was that I took the wheel cap, the road wheels of the M119, the wheel cap, the wheel cap. It has all those little bolts and little rivets in there. I take 2 of them and put them one in front of the other and glue them together. So it has that shape, and then I use the cutting knife to shape it. It's a little bell, it's a little horn shape. So that's my horn. Like this is it doesn't cost me anything to do that, but it's fun.
Did you super glue the brass?
Yes, super glue the brass. Yes, the brass. Yes. So here's the biggie to me anyway. The actual difference. Chevy is like this, and Ford is like that. I don't know how to describe it. Just take a look at the picture. Right? So the Tamiya kit is a Ford gun tractor, so it has the Ford axles, right? So I take the Ford axles from there, but obviously the length of the axles do not fit the mirror model, so I have to do surgery, right? But I cut it into shape, cut it into length. So the front axle and the rear axle is a different length. I have to cut it so the gray part of it from the mirror model kit. And then the beige one, the tan one, or the Tamiya kits. And then the actual gearbox is too big from the Tamiya kit, so I have to cut it, shape it in smaller form. So in order to make it more sturdy, after I cut it short, I put a metal rod in between to reinforce the axle. So that's what happens on the left-hand side.
Yeah, Ming, do you realize that if anybody who does not understand our hobby looks at that picture, you can say that you're anal, but we don't think you're anal. We think it's pretty cool.
I was going to say that Johnny this stuff has turned me into a geek.
They're not mutually exclusive.
Or your wife says you have too much time on your hands.
Yeah, that's right. So the finish actually looks like this. So again, I have to measure the parallel and all that, so that it's lined up, right? So, and here's the complete underside. There's a lot of stretch building, detailing, the brake lines, even including the wires that holds the little metal wire that holds the axles together.
Show, put these pictures in the book.
I will, yes, because this is a sum it all. This is the underside, right? And even these ramps are made with brushes, right? And I purposely not make it straight. I don't want to stress myself to make it straight because those are the soft ones. And even with the real car, you look at it, they get bumped, they get bent, they get like coated and everything, right? So I didn't care about making it straight. So here's some of the parts. So you can see the 3 components, the cap, the welder, and the chassis, and all the other things are things that go on the cap, things that go on the welder.
How many parts do you think how many parts?
No, I never counted.
1,000?
In the hundreds for sure. It will be in the hundreds. It's a tiny little parts, right? Including the horseshoes for good luck.
How'd you do that?
Yeah, I did it last.
Did you photograph the parts you threw away?
I'm sorry?
Did you photograph the parts you either didn't use or threw away?
Threw away? No, I didn't. But to be honest, I didn't throw away a lot of parts.
Oh.
I'm pretty lucky, and that's why it's taking a long time, because I don't want to build it when I'm stressed, when I'm busy with something else, and just I'll sit down 2 hours and do it. Like, I want to hold off the time to properly build it. So I need to wait until I'm settled down, because it takes steady hands, right? So if I make a mistake, I screw up the rest of it. So and there's only one try, almost. So including parts like including the spare tire rack, I built it from scratch. So, and I obviously from the mirror kit there are only 4 tires. I don't have a 5th one. So I'm forced to make one that is empty. So that's for one reason. The other reason is it's okay, because I make an empty one, because it will not block. If I put a spare tire there, it will block the view of my engine, of my welder. So it's better to not to have a spare tire there, so that it doesn't block the view of the details that I put in. So I made a scratch one like this. And then there's welding tools, right? The face shield, the electrode holders, and then the clamp, right? So here are all the parts. And wait, I lied. It's not all the parts. So remember that table, that work table. So, and I still remember the guy made a special effort to carry the table and take pictures for me. I feel bad if I don't do it. So I make a point of making a table, and actually I make it a little fun kit, because it's foldable. I can unfold the legs and then stand on 4 legs and unfold it back, and then slide it in between the cab and the welder. So it was fun. It's more fun than building IKEA furniture.
Good.
So here's the dry fit. So everything put together, except for the table. At that time, I didn't finish making the table yet. The table was after addition. So you can see all the metal parts, the white plastic, the green part is from the Ferrari, which is quite obvious. The wheels are from a mirror model. The cab is from mirror model, plus a lot of modifications. Okay, and there are storage boxes in the back, at the bottom, storage boxes on the side. This one, this clamp in here, I took it from a Ferrari kit. There is a fuel engineering toolkit. It's just a tiny little box, and one of it is this. So I just took it from there. So my kit over there is missing that part now. So let's go to the painting part. So now I have everything fit together. It's time for painting. So I tried a lot of new things in painting of this. First of all is that I haven't painted a model in olive drab for more than 20 years, maybe a quarter of a century. So since the last time I built models, even the last one, it wasn't olive drab. So it was before the last one I built, before I started modeling. So now I haven't done olive drab, and besides the olive drab I did before wasn't good at all. So it took a lot of experimentation to get the right tone that I know. So what I end up with is that here's the ratio. I even showed you the ratio here. So 2:1. 2 parts of olive drab from Camille olive drab, and one part of dark yellow from Camille, and then 3 parts of the thinner. So thinner is a new thing, because I always thought that the lacquer, thinner, and paint smells too strong. Like I used the aerosol spray before, the spray can, and it's just too much. I couldn't take it. But one opportunity, unfortunately somebody is not opportunity, but Pinnacle Hobby was going out, like closing the store, and they're selling paint for 50%. So I say, okay, so if I want to try something, I might as well try something cheap. Like I don't want to pay full price for it, and if I decided not to use it, try it once and not to use it, and I wasted everything. So I bought some thinner, bought some lacquer paint, Camille paint, and bought some enamel Camille paint. So I tried the lacquer thinner, and I think a lot of people suggest me that. I think Harvey was one of them, suggested me to use lacquer thinner. So I did, and it worked well. So how it worked well? So first of all is that the paint is more durable. So after it's dry for a few hours, I can stretch it and it's still holding in place, right? And it's smoother. I find it is much more smoother rather compared with the aquatic X28 thinner. So X28 thinner, even after days of drying out, you scratch it, it's gone, but you can see the mark. But this one, you can lightly scratch it and you don't see the mark. So and the good thing is that I tried it and I didn't faint. Or at least I don't think I fainted. Maybe I fainted, I didn't know that. But I can tolerate it, so I adapted it. Yeah, sure. So that's the result. And so the next step is spray paint the base coat. But what I did over there is that you can see some shading over there. So I did some pre-shading. I lightened up the base color and then touch up some areas that make it lighter. And then the wash and dry brush. So I try another thing, enamel. I use enamel. And I specifically use Tamiya enamel. The advantage of using Tamiya enamel is that I can mix exactly the same color, very close, because I'm using their aquatic to mix. So when I use enamel to mix, I got the same color, right? And as long as you use the 2-to-1 ratio, 2 parts of orange color, 1 part of dark yellow. So I use that for wash color, and it works well with it did not erode into the aquatic paint. And actually it has longer working time for me. So one little drop like this, I can use it for 1 hour. So I can wash a little part of it and then do another round, pour out new paint. So that lasts me for 1 hour, right? So there was a good thing about it. And I actually made an error at one point. I picked up the wrong brush. It wasn't my dry brush that had little paint on it. It actually had full paint on it. And I smudged it on my truck. I said, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? I ruined it. Like, it was on the side door panel too. It's very, very obvious. So after I calmed down, I said, no, okay, let's try the theory. It's not eating into the aquatic. So I dip my brush, a little brush, into enamel thinner, just moist it, and then start pushing the enamel paint to the edges of that door, or that driver's side door. Push it to the edge. And I do it a little bit at a time, and lo and behold, everything is off. I can wipe it off at the edge, and then leaving that area as it was before, no scratch. So this is the big plus, that I can work with it. I make mistake, I can work with it. So this is just to show you, after the wash, it looks like this. And then at the end, I just did the whole truck. I dry brush it with a light color, basically with enamel again to lighten up the details and rivets and everything. So basically, it's a tinted white. So whatever the mix I have, but just put a tiny little bit onto the white, so you can see a lot of big patch of white and just a little bit of orange draft and dark yellow. So and then I made the markings. I did not use decals. I made my own stencil for that. And creep cut is too strong for this. I even take a suggestion to use the masking paper from Tamiya. Yeah. It's still rip it apart. Yeah. It's just draw it and just rip it apart. So after much thinking, I thought that the best way, because what I noticed is I rip up the masking paper part, and then the backing paper of the Tamiya masking tape looks all right. Yeah. So I say, okay, so on the computer, let me flip the letters and put the masking paper upside down. So the backing paper is facing up. The masking paper is touching the cutting plate. So when they cut, it rips off the backing paper, but leaving the masking paper untouched, like properly cut. And then I have the glue part on the right side too. I flip it around and stick it on like this, and I start painting. Of course, I need to touch it up. So all these are done by stencils. And there is an extensive masking because there are so many different colors. There's red, there's yellow, there's blue, there's white. So I did different kinds of masking at different times. And then I did the mud. So just a quick note because I'm running out of time. This is the experiment I did on my first model after retirement, the S tank. I did an experiment with chalk pastel. This is all chalk pastel. Again, I'm cheap. I go to the dollar shop and buy one of those. It's $1.75 with 8 states of color. I use the burnt umber, the gray, and the white, and sometimes the black the most. So, but hey, it's $1.75. While they have it, I stock up a bunch of them. So basically, what it does is I use that, grind it up, mix the color, and then I use white blue solution, water and white blue, and I mix it with a drop of buff, Canadian paint buff. So I mix them, it becomes a paste, and I use a brush to brush it onto the wheels. And after you brush it onto the wheels, and there are hard edges that sticking out, it looks unrealistic. So I use a toothpick, dip it into water with some tissues wrapped up at the top, just like a picture there, and then smudge it, and then it looks like this. So there's no hard edges, it looks like it's been worn, right? So, and here we go. And after all this time, so this is very, very enjoyable. I learned so much of it. And the best thing is the interaction with the museum community and interaction with the people that I didn't even know, and the modelers that I didn't know, and some experts of the truck that I didn't know. So I get to know them now, and I got to meet some of them, and I make some new friends. So this is a very good experience. It's full from nothing to this. Thank you.